This is the sessions list page where you see all the sessions coming from your users, and you also see stitch sessions. These are the sessions that are stitched together when they happen around the same time for the same device. We can click on one of the sessions here to get into the user timeline page. First of all, on the header, we see again the stitch header, the stitch session header, where we can click on other sessions that are stitched together. Next, we have the horizontal timeline. This is an overview of everything that happened during that session. There are some sections that are disabled because we don't have instrumentation for this yet. Then we do have some sections that are enabled that we can click to expand. For example, we can see all the network calls being made in the same session. We can see all the paths that the user took to navigate through the session. So for example, the home page, the product details page, and the cart page. We can click on Web Vitals to see all the different events that were reported, sorted by the score. And then lastly, we can click on others to see all the clicks that the user did during the session. Next, we are going to go to the panel on the right where we get session information. This is really useful to understand everything, like to understand what session properties you have for this session. For example, you can see the location of the user, you can see the browser, you can see the resolution and more data. And then the main section of this page is a timeline where we get a list of roles on everything that happened during that session ordered by date. So the first thing that we get is the page load row that shows us the total size of the page that the user loaded, the amount of time that they have to wait, and the LCP core web vital value. We can expand this row to see more information. We can see the element that is attached to the core web vital, and then we can also see a list of resources that the user loaded during the session. Each one of them, you can see the transfer size, the time where it started, and the duration of the load. Next, you have other roles, like for example, the network role. So at this moment in the session, the user or your application did a few network requests, and these are grouped by domain. So you can see here that we made an API call to API card, API products, and API currency. You can see here the duration of each API call. Another interesting role that we see is the core web vital role, where you can see a single core web vital being reported. In this case, we have the CLS web vital, and we get here the value and the delta and all the attribution related to that web vital. Next, we can see unhandled exceptions that I added just as an example for this session, where we can see, for example, an ad that failed to load. So in this session, we see when it happened, we see the stack trace, so we can find out where the issue happened and work around it. And lastly, we have a bunch of clicks that I did during the session. So for example, when I added something to the cart, I have a click here and I have the element that is attributed to. So as we can see, the session has a lot of context about what happened during the time the user was going through your website. But as you get more users, it's really hard to go through all the sessions. So what you want to do is you want to go on one of the pages that we have, where we show aggregations about the user experience from your page.